Hey, give me a cold one.
Hey, Tang, take a cold one.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Wonderful Gaming Dads. Thanks for stopping by and seeing us again. We really appreciate any support and anything you do when it comes to our channel. So if you would, in saying that, please go down below, hit that like, give that thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button. It would really help out a lot. But if not, please just watch our video through. That helps out a lot too. And we're just happy to have you here in any comment and any accommodation. So without further ado, let's get into why you're here. Tang, why don't you lead us into the first tank in our group here?
All right, so first up, we got the Protection Warrior. Of course, it was the only real tank in the OG Classic. It's still God tank in Burning Crusade. They're considered the jack of all trade and masters of none. While the warrior tank is easy to gear due to having shield block and everyone loves you, they have crushing blow immunity as well. So, oh well, man, you ain't getting crushed. You got a shield, you got a little AoE, you got some single target. So they got a ton of positives. With that being said, they do fall behind protection paladins in AoE situations. And feral, druid, guardian, whatever we're gonna call them. I guess we have to figure. I guess they're just feral tank, right?
Yes, sir.
Seems to outshine them with avoidance. And the really cool thing is, I remember back in the day, and you'd get like all the healers be and you have your feral druid tank tanking, and they would go on a dodge streak once they had all their agility, dude, and just
Yes, sir.
We'll get at them more later. Nonetheless, you will not be a fart in the wind.
No, sir. You'll be an important role. So the only thing I had to add to that is warriors, they are okay DPS, but they are far less than what they were in Classic. Okay, so you went from being King Dingaling as a DPS spec down to lower tier. So if you don't get that tank slot, it's going to be a little harder to get a raid spot, if that makes any sense. But you know what? Any guild is going to be happy just to have raiders, okay? And not everybody's pushing late end game content and stuff like that. And you will get there eventually, right? Eventually you overgear it and you overcome and you just persevere. So I'm just, fair warning, okay? Leveling's a little hard with a warrior, okay? The leveling speed's a little slow. Same with, prop pally and stuff like that. But they are used in both dungeons and raids. All right, open world, they do pretty good PvP wise. They're about middle of the pack. Battlegrounds are pretty solid, and arena they're amazing. Okay, so warriors have a lot of options, not just tanking. But I'm just wanting to make you aware that if you don't get that tank slot, yes, you are like the kind of the OG of the tank and spec. But if you don't get that spot, there's only 2 spots for a tank, sometimes 3. You might be.
I seem to remember
role.
more. I seem to remember more tanks. I know Mac
Well, it's because
Therodon's
there was a plethora of warriors. You know what I mean? There were so many
Yeah.
warriors. Where were they going to go?
But in like Mac Therodon's lair, it's a one boss raid encounter. You have to have 5 tanks. You have to have 5
That's true.
tanks. So.
That's true.
And warriors, I mean, as we put in our video, they're C to start with, or no, they're B to start with, so they're not the best, but they do move up to the A tier, so they're not terrible.
That's true. All right, moving on. Let's talk about these guardian druids.
Well, guardian druids.
So the guardian druids, or the feral druids, sorry, for the classic people, they call them feral, tank, bear druids, the bears.
The bear druid. There we go. That's
so they're not really the masters of anything, right? But they are, in a sense. Okay, so it takes a while for them to get their stride, but when they get their stride, boy, you will be happy. All right, there is no tank that can beat them on threat gen. Okay, with the use of swipe and what is it called, mangle bear, they are incredibly capable of producing well amount of threat on all the mobs. Okay, so they do have lacerate, but it doesn't produce the same amount of threat, and is actually taken over by swipe. So you have lacerate, you'll put it on, but you'll kind of like put that in between your swipes, right? Just to have the debuff. All right, so things to note: there's a downfall when it comes, or it's a swap basically. So in Classic, if you were a bear tank, which was rare from what I understand, I didn't play Classic, and I have seen some videos and everything else. The bears used to stack a crap ton of HP. Okay, it's not so much like that in TBC. TBC, it's all about avoidance. So you were going to stack the crap out of some agility and anything else you can get to get dodge. Okay, so dodge rating is huge. And at one point, you will have bear tanks that basically dodge 50% of the attacks. So everybody's like, oh, you know, bear tanks, they're not as good as the warrior or the paladin. Not true. Actually, late tier, they are pretty amazing. Okay, so don't count them out. Okay, actually, we did a run in Classic. Well, it's pre-patch, so we did a run the other night just in what was it, Strathholm.
We started out
bear
human,
tank.
dude. We did everything. We did all the mailmen, both wings, all the special bosses, everything.
We had a bear tank in there. Didn't wipe it off. Didn't pull threat.
And we had a Red Pally carrying us, son. He was wrecking. So
he was geared to the teeth. So remember that those bears, they'll be dodging for you, and they take the least amount of damage of all the tanks. All right, they level extremely fast in PvE. The dungeons, they are very valuable, and raids, they are extremely great. Open world PvP, pretty solid, and battlegrounds, again, pretty solid, and arena, really good. Okay,
I will say, I want to add this. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Feral bear tanks can get crushed, and sometimes will almost get one shot from full health. So
absolutely,
they're really good, but once again, that's the great thing about a warrior: you can't get crushed. So
yes, which we'll get into a little bit more later on tanking combinations. But last but not least, we have our third tank, which is the prop pally. Please, Tang, if you would, after the little title screen.
Prop Palace! Solid tanks, master of the AoE, and that's pretty much about all there is to say, man. Just kidding. These tanks are very solid, pretty much the entire expansion. They do seem to take a little bit more damage than the other two, but they have a ton of utility. They got blessings, divine intervention, lay on hands. They can heal themselves. They still have a shield. Correct me if I'm wrong. That makes them uncrushable. So it's it's a lot sturdier. Like the Pharaoh, the tank, the Druid tank we were just talking about. They're a really good tank, but they don't have that shield. There's just something about having that shield. At least this early in WoW. Nowadays with Demon Hunters and stuff, it don't matter. But the prop pally is amazing for AoE. If you got a big AoE pool, you need the prop pally.
Facts.
I'd say this tank, he's the Swiss Army knife. It will make you very happy. Like, you'll have no problem. What do you tell us about their full potential, buddy?
They just have to have really great raid awareness, right? With lay on hands, bubbles, and other kind of immunities that you can give your raid. They need to keep their eyes on the entire raid, not just focus on the boss's ball sack that's dangling in their face. To make them really the Swiss Army knife of all, I mean, you can get just a regular old sit there tank and spank kind of tank out of either a warrior or a guardian, but if you want to get full potential out of your pally, he's got to be throwing out those extra blessings and those extra shields and stuff like that for people to be immune to certain situations, and a good prop pally if he's not dead. All right. Usually it's up to the Holy Pally, but if the raid's going south, you got to know who to divine intervention and basically get that raid wipe to at least a reasonable situation.
You'd be surprised. Like, that was huge. Like, nowadays, I honestly kind of frown and when people are like, oh, I don't want to run back for 30 seconds. Get a battle res. That shit pisses me off. But back in the day, dude, you had, like, legit 5-minute runs and stuff. So
that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
So leveling wise, they're better than warriors, but they're not as good as druids. Dungeons, they're very good. Raids, they're very good. Open world PvP, they're middle of the pack. They're not horrible. They're not great. They're not terrible either, though. They're pretty solid. And battlegrounds, okay, and arena, not so much. So I'm not gonna say they're not used at all, but they're just not as good as say warrior or druid. Race wise, for both paladin and for warrior, for the alliance side, human and Draenei are your go-to. All right, obviously for paladin, the only thing you can go on the horde is blood elf, and for warrior, you're gonna look for Tauren. It's just like the website that we've been looking at. They said Tauren female are the best. I'm not really sure why female is so much better, but the endurance that they get as Tauren gives them extra stam.
Well, I'll tell you this: leveling Draenei warriors is a hell of a lot easier than leveling other warriors because you get a hot
that
you can keep on yourself. So keep that in mind if you're starting a new tune.
Yep, but with that though, you can't use your Dark Portal Pass or anything on a Draenei, so you'll be leveling from 1. But you still got a week. You can do it. You can do it. I believe
you can do it. Just don't ever log off for stop pressing WSAD.
That's right. I want to note something. Professions are always kind of a question as well. Engineering is extremely great, and the reason why is there's two different things. Okay, so in the very beginning of TVC, or when you max level your engineering, all right, not in the beginning, but when you max level it, there's a trinket that's called the rocket. What is it called? I'm sorry, I lost it. It's called the Goblin Rocket Launcher. Sorry, Goblin Rocket Launcher. They have 45 stam on it, and it is not a unique equipped, so you can stack 2 of those suckers, and you'll have 90 stam right off the bat, right? And then later on in phase 2, you can get the Tanktronic goggles, and they're amazing because they have two sockets. They have 67 stam, 1,296 armor. They increase defense, hit, dodge, and they increase your stealth detection. Blacksmithing is also a good choice, but I think engineering is more fun because you got gadgets and bombs and stuff like that. But your choice. Engineering is more expensive to level, it seems like. So if you're a casual player, I wouldn't go engineering. But if you're a hardcore, you should definitely get that engineering. Oh yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's gonna about wrap it up for us, sir. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe, comment, press that like button, all that goody stuff. And with that, my friend, game of dance. Bye.